Your brain has already made up its mind a full 7 seconds before you even feel the conscious impulse to act. It's a silent, unseen process, initiating your movements, thoughts, and even your desires long before you consciously register them. This isn't a philosophical musing, it's a neuroscientific revelation suggesting that the very moment you think you're making a choice, the neural wheels have already been turning for quite some time. Prepare to understand the fascinating and often unsettling mechanism of the readiness potential, a preconscious neural activity that consistently precedes our voluntary movements, profoundly challenging our intuitive sense of free will and personal agency. This isn't merely a theoretical debate, it's a dive into the very architecture of how your mind generates action, forcing a fundamental reconsideration of who exactly is in charge. The groundbreaking journey into this territory began with the pioneering experiments of Benjamin Libet and his colleagues in the 1980s. Imagine a participant seated, watching a clock hand sweep around a dial, much like a second hand. Their task was incredibly simple. At any point they chose, they were to flick their wrist. The crucial part was to note, with absolute precision, the exact position of the clock hand the very moment they first felt the conscious urge or intention to move. Meanwhile, researchers used electroencephalography, or EEG, to meticulously record the brain activity in the participant's motor cortex, the region responsible for initiating movement. What they discovered sent ripples through both the scientific and philosophical communities. The EEG readings consistently showed a distinct surge in brain activity, what Libet termed the readiness potential, that reliably began approximately 300 to 500 milliseconds before the participant reported their conscious decision to move. 300 to 500 milliseconds. That's a measurable, undeniable neurological precursor to what we feel is a self-initiated, spontaneous act. Think of it this way. Your brain is like a highly sophisticated, incredibly fast supercomputer, and your conscious mind is the user interface. When you click an icon, you assume you initiated the process. But Libet's work revealed that the server, your brain, had already started executing the command milliseconds before the click registered on your conscious screen. The operating system was already compiling the code, warming up the hardware, and queuing the process while your conscious self was still contemplating whether to even think about clicking. The conscious decision wasn't the initiator, it was a late arrival, a post hoc acknowledgement of an action already set in motion by deeper, unseen neural currents. This half-second gap, where your brain acts before you're consciously aware of wanting to act, was enough to shake the foundations of personal control. But what happens if that tiny, unsettling gap stretches, not just to hundreds of milliseconds, but to multiple seconds? What then? This is where the findings become truly electrifying and perhaps a little disquieting. The concept of the readiness potential, initially observed as a mere fraction of a second, has been expanded and affirmed by more advanced neuroimaging techniques, revealing a much more profound preconscious initiation. Have you ever felt like you were watching yourself make a decision? Newer research using functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI, has pushed this timeline far beyond Libet's initial discovery, delving into more complex free choices. In a landmark study by Soon, Brass, Heinze, and Haynes in 2008, participants were given the choice between pressing a left or right button whenever they felt the urge. While they made their choices, researchers observed activity in specific regions of the brain, particularly in the prefrontal and parietal cortices. The astonishing finding was that the activity in these areas could predict the participant's eventual choice up to 7 and sometimes even 10 full seconds before the participant became consciously aware of their decision. Let that sink in for a moment. 7 seconds. Imagine you're standing in front of two identical options, say 2 flavors of ice cream, vanilla and chocolate, and you truly believe you're weighing your choice, feeling the impulse, and then choosing vanilla. According to these studies, your brain had already initiated the complex sequence that would lead to you picking vanilla a full 7 seconds before you experienced the internal dialogue of weighing options, before the conscious thought of, "I want vanilla," even surfaced. Your choice to take a bite wasn't the starting gun. It was merely the finish line where your conscious awareness finally caught up to a race that was already well underway. This isn't just about button presses, it permeates even seemingly complex decisions, the subtle biases that guide our reactions, and perhaps even the origins of what we perceive as moral impulses. We often feel like active agents, the authors of our every move, but this science suggests we are, at least in part, passengers on a very fast, very efficient train, experiencing the landscape as it unfolds, while the engine, deep in the neural machinery, has already determined the destination. This profound insight isn't meant to diminish your sense of agency, but to empower it through a deeper understanding. This isn't about denying your capacity for control, but redefining when and how that control truly operates. Here are 3 practical applications of this knowledge in your daily life. First, implement strategic pausing. When you feel a surge of emotion or the conscious impulse to make a hasty decision, whether it's sending that angry email, making an impulsive online purchase, or saying something you might regret, recognize that your brain has likely already initiated that action. Instead of immediately executing, consciously introduce a delay. When you feel the first inkling of that conscious decision, mentally count to 10. This isn't about stopping the brain's preconscious initiation, which you can't, but about giving your conscious mind a critical window to veto or redirect that initiated action, leveraging what some call free won't. This allows your slower, more deliberate prefrontal cortex to assess and potentially override the rapid preconscious circuits. The outcome is a noticeable reduction in impulsive errors and a greater capacity for responses that truly align with your values. Second, design your environment for preconscious alignment. Since your brain's automatic, preconscious decisions are heavily influenced by the cues around you, leverage this. If you want to eat healthier, don't rely solely on willpower when the conscious urge for a snack arises. Instead, design your surroundings so that your brain's preconscious initiation is nudged towards the desired outcome. Place healthy snacks prominently in your kitchen, hide the unhealthy ones. Lay out your workout clothes the night before, or set your coffee machine to brew automatically. By making the path of least resistance the path you want to take, you're not fighting your brain's preconscious activity, you're guiding it. This leads to habits that feel less like a struggle and more like a natural flow, harnessing your brain's automaticity for your benefit. Third, cultivate pre-observation through mindfulness. If you often feel like you're reacting rather than truly acting intentionally, practice focused self-observation. The goal isn't to stop the readiness potential, but to become more attuned to its subtle echoes. Instead of just noting the conscious decision, try to develop an awareness of the antecedents to that decision. What vague sensations, nascent thoughts, or subtle urges arise before the clear "I choose" moment? By practicing mindfulness, paying attention to your body's subtle shifts, your thoughts' nascent formations, you can sometimes glimpse the shadows of the readiness potential. This process increases your overall awareness and responsiveness, allowing you to intercept, reevaluate, or even consciously reinforce the trajectory your brain has set. It moves you from being a passenger who only sees the destination to an attentive co-pilot, aware of the flight plan developing in the cockpit. Consider this for a moment. This understanding transforms how you see yourself. You are not just the conscious conductor of an orchestra, you are also a keen listener, and at times, a brilliant editor of a symphony that is already being composed beneath the surface. Your personal power grows not by vainly attempting to initiate everything, but by understanding and strategically influencing the powerful preconscious currents that so often set the stage for your actions. This profound insight allows you to release the burden of self-blame when you act impulsively, replacing it with a scientific curiosity about your own internal mechanisms. It also fosters a deep empathy for others, recognizing that their behaviors, like your own, often originate from complex, unseen forces long before conscious intention emerges. It's a shift from judgment to genuine comprehension. Continue to peel back these layers of human experience. The journey into the mind's hidden workings, into the very origins of our decisions, far deeper than we previously imagined, is only just beginning. Understanding these fundamental principles is not merely an academic pursuit. It is the ultimate key to mastering not just your own life, but also to truly comprehending the intricate dance of human interaction. But what if understanding this deep, preconscious activity isn't just about free will, but about unlocking entirely new levels of influence over your future self? What if the brain's hidden predispositions hold the secret to your ultimate potential?